Hello. Okay, this is using adjectives differently. Well-placed adjectives, being intentional with the adjectives that you're using, your students are using in their writing. So this is one of my favorite grammar lessons, one because a lot of students are already somewhat familiar with adjectives, so it generally takes only a little bit of review to remind them what adjectives are, but a lot of students are not intentional with how they use adjectives in their writing. And so this lesson can really guide them through being intentional with using adjectives. So I start with just a slide about adjectives, a quote from C.S. Lewis. You can just have this in your classroom as students enter, or you can spend a little time discussing it if you'd like. And then you start your grammar lesson with a would you rather question. I actually have two would you rather questions, and you can do this as formally or informally as you want. You can just call on volunteers, or you can have them jot down their answers, whichever you would prefer. So you've got two would you rather questions. But then you tie those questions into the fact that you're talking about adjectives today. If you have a little bit more of an advanced group, you could have them pick out the adjectives before you tell them, or you could just show them the adjectives and then say, you're talking about adjectives today. So then you're going to go into your review / direct instruction, depending on how much familiarity your students have with adjectives. But even if they have very little familiarity or recall of what they are, that's fine. On their guided notes, it has the definition of what an adjective is, a word or a phrase used to modify or describe a noun, and then they can write down some examples of words or phrases could be used as adjectives. And then you'll talk about adjective phrases, which are groups of words, including the adjective and its complements, and that whole group of words is used to modify a noun. So this can get a little bit trickier, and if you choose to just focus on adjectives for this lesson and not adjective phrases, that is fine. Again, I think just depending on your group and where they are, or if you want to maybe come back to adjective phrases at another time and just focus on single words being used as adjectives in this lesson, that's fine as well. So the lesson is customizable. Do what you want with it to fit your group of students. So then we have some examples. This is where I like to encourage you to customize it, put celebrities, athletes, whomever you want in these sentences that might get your students' attention. Just keep them awake as you get through the direct instruction part of the lesson. Then here we have really the heart of the lesson, which is your mentor sentences. So you put your mentor sentence up there, and you've got some guiding questions here. Just ask students what they notice about the sentence in general, and then what adjectives they see, and then what words those adjectives are modifying. Those are the two kind of main pieces of getting adjectives, is what they are and whom they're describing. Then you have another mentor sentence, but this has an adjective phrase. Both of these mentor sentences, the adjectives start the sentence. So they're being used as sentence openers. And this is what I want to guide students towards considering, is how they can use adjectives to start their sentences and how that can add a little life and kind of like a cool element to their sentences. So then you're going to talk about delayed adjectives. So of course, adjectives still, but these are adjectives that come after the word that they're modifying. Again, it's being intentional with the placement of these adjectives and thinking about how that kind of affects the meaning or the mood or the rhythm of a sentence. Here again, we have some examples, and again, customize these to fit your students' interests as much as possible. And then some more mentor sentences. Here, though, we've got at least a few of the adjectives are delayed adjectives. Not all of them, because there's a lot of adjectives in this particular sentence. But clear and beautiful are delayed adjectives, and they come after the word they're modifying, which in this case is call, is the word that they're modifying. So this is where it can get a little bit tricky, because sometimes call is a word that's used as a verb. Well, here it's a word that's used as a noun, and clear and beautiful are describing that noun. A little bit trickier, trumpet, usually used as a noun, here's being used as an adjective because it's describing the type of call. So, but talk all that stuff out, and I've got notes on the bottom of this slide for you, just, because I want students to know that a word is not always a noun or a verb or an adjective. It depends on its function in a certain sentence. But here, if you want to keep it simple, just talk about how clear and beautiful are the two adjectives that come after the word they are modifying, which is in this case, call. And then we have another mentor sentence, similar idea, where you've got an adjective phrase that is being used after the word that it is modifying. And then you're going to have your students in this part, depending on how much time you have. If you are short on time, then you might want to choose to do this another day as like a bell ringer or something. But if you have time, have your students take out their independent reading books, if they have those, or a novel that you're reading as a class, and see if they can just find some adjectives. Let them try to find some mentor sentences and some cool adjectives. Let them share with the class. You can make a class list of adjectives, and you can talk about, which ones are actually adjectives or which ones are not actually adjectives. But spend a little bit of time doing that. And then move on to your sentence frames. So here you've got a new mentor sentence, and then you've got two possible sentence frames that your students can work with. And they're going to fill in their own adjectives to those sentence frames and just see what they create. Hopefully they create some cool sentences because they're only having to focus on the adjective that they're using, and they're not having to create an entire sentence. And then they've got that exercise again, but here they're going to use adjectives at the end of their sentence, the delayed adjective. So again, they need to come up with their own adjectives, but most of the sentence is written for them. And then they have a third opportunity to do that with this sentence. And again, if you're short on time, maybe just do two of those rather than all three. The last thing you're going to do is you've got a movie clip here that I've ended with, and it's pretty short. This one is only 1 minute and 40 seconds. Have them watch that movie clip and then have them do both of these things. Write a sentence about one of the characters with an opening adjective, so it starts the sentence, and then a sentence about one of the characters with a delayed adjective or two. Or they could use adjective phrases if you'd like them to. And then after you've done that, take a few minutes and evaluate and share. Have them look back at all the sentences they've written because, they haven't written like 25 sentences. They've written several sentences that they've crafted in this class period, and see if they're proud of any of those sentences and encourage them to like star or highlight at least one, and then share it with the class if you have time. If you have any questions about this lesson, please email me at abetterwaytoteach@gmail.com. I am here to help. I really want this experience to go well for you. I want this lesson to go well in your classroom. So please email me if you have any questions about the lesson. Thanks.